My guest currently resides in Iceland. She's going to tell us exactly where that is. And she's currently on the island. She's back in Jamaica to visit her family and friends. She is a deputy member of the board of WOMEN, or Women in Iceland, an organization aimed towards helping women of foreign origin in vulnerable situations. She's also an author, and she's on a journey to empower other authors who are ready to embark on their own journey. So this morning we welcome Shantaye Brown to tell us her story to getting published. Good morning.
Good morning.
I am interested in all of your story.
Right.
So I'm going to start with what I want to go through quickly, and then I go to the other parts that I want to talk about nuff.
All right.
So you wrote a book.
Yes.
But it was a unique experience for you, and the way you've gone about it is a little bit different than the traditional way.
Yes.
Tell us about that process.
Right. All right. So at that time when I published the book, I was 19, going on 20. And
That was just last week?
no, that was 8 years ago.
Oh,
yeah,
my.
eight years ago. Yeah. And I was living in the ghetto of Kingston with my family, and it was, it was some of the best times of my life, but it was also some of the most challenging times of my life. And when I say we were like very poor, I'm not talking about we couldn't afford like cable or stuff like that. Like sometimes we weren't even able to like afford food.
Where was this?
So like I used to live in Woodford Park.
Okay. And what is the name of the book that you published at that time?
So I published this book called Zell, Deviants and Saints.
And what Deviants and Saints?
Yes.
And what was was it your economic circumstance that made the process of publishing difficult, or was there something unique to the process of publishing in itself?
So the non-traditional publishing route is basically you footing all the bills when it comes to publishing. So when I started, I just went into it. I didn't know what I was doing. I just read so much. Like I would read two books a day sometimes, like stay up 24 hours just reading in my room, like all the time. And so eventually I had this story that I wanted to tell. And I didn't let my circumstances prevent me from telling that story and then putting it out there. So this non-traditional publishing route that I use involved me basically just writing the story, editing it, getting proofreaders, getting my own beta readers, and then just marketing the book, which is what I did. And it was very successful because I sold over 3,000 copies worldwide.
That's awesome. Since then, you've written other books.
Yes, I'm now writing a second book and a third book. So I'm writing them both within this year.
Also, you're writing two books at the same time.
Yes.
Really, in a way.
Yes.
Look at you.
And that is, and that is why I started the whole journey to getting published, because I'm showing rather than telling how it's done. So like people always ask me like, so how you do this? Like how you end up publishing a book? And I figured, why not start this platform where there are other little girls like me, you know, who don't have all the resources at their disposal to do this, to show them that regardless of the fact that maybe you don't like, you know, have it like that, like there are ways
to tell your story.
Yeah, there are 100 ways to skin a cat.
Yeah, absolutely. And 5 cumbersome ways to kill a man.
Yeah.
Now,
I like that
That's
one.
a poem. High CXC literature, poetry, many, 20 years ago.
Yes.
Right. So, what is the platform? How do those little girls access that space or that information?
So you can start by meeting me on my Instagram, and you can go on author_Shantaye Brown.
Okay.
Or you can go directly to my personal one at Shanti_Python.
Okay.
And both Instagram accounts have direct access to my website that shows my blog, my YouTube channel, and everything else that I've been working on so far.
So all the resources are housed in your website, but they can reach out to you first if they would
directly.
like through through your social media spaces.
Yes.
Now that we've established the important meat of the matter, I have some curiosities that I know my sunrisers have that
Go
we need
on.
to ask. Because the girl says she come from which one of the parks now?
Iceland.
No. Where you come from?
Woodford Park. That's close to Vineyard Town.
Right. Down at Woodford Park. She's a Jamaican and she live in Iceland. We got to get into it. First of all, one thing with the Jamaican, them, you know, they must find the people, them country, and go there.
Yeah.
How did it happen, Shantaye?
Okay, funny, not so funny story. I met a man online dating, who later turned out to be my husband.
Stop, wait.
Yeah.
No, I never expect this. But this is nice.
Yeah, it's a
You met the man on Beyonce internet?
Nay, so I met him on a
What's the name?
dating
Is that
site.
yes?
It's no in Iceland.
Oh, no. So, it wasn't... All right, go on now. So, on the internet, a dating site.
Yes, I will not say the name of said dating site.
Of course, and he was from Iceland.
Yes.
And y'all got to talking.
Yes, and within 9 days, he was on a plane to Jamaica.
9 days.
Yes.
Girl good.
Yeah.
Girl good.
And then within a month and a half, he proposed.
Yeah.
So it was like a bit of like a whirlwind romance. And, you know, obviously, because
Girl
I'm
hot,
slightly crazier, I said yes. And then, like 2 weeks later, I was on a plane going to Iceland, this island, because it's also an island. Like, it's just like an alternate universe beside of Jamaica. Not beside, far out, but, you know, like, when you hold them beside each other, they're like completely just opposite.
Yeah, I would like to think so. In Iceland.
Yes. But the only thing they have in common is that they're both islands.
All right. And tell us
Right.
in a general way where Iceland is. If we were able to imagine where it is on the map. You know, Jamaicans, we know where the US is. We know where Canada is. We know where South America. We know where Britain is. Or England on the other side of the Atlantic.
So it's, to get here, it takes about, what would I say? It takes about...
Where it close to? Which country? When we're looking on the map, and you say, oh, Iceland
Greenland.
It's close to Greenland.
Yeah.
So now Greenland is that landmass that's actually at the, if you could say, the North Atlantic Sea, right in between what you would say
The
Canada
Arctic.
and kind of like Europe.
Yes.
So Greenland is way north, in between Canada and Europe, and then Iceland is what,
It's
below
just
it?
right next, like, because you can literally take a ferry and go straight to Greenland.
Iceland and Greenland, very close
Yeah.
together. If you look on the Atlantic Ocean sunrises and just go all the way up, you will run into Iceland and Greenland, right there in the north Atlantic Sea. I don't even know if the official name of the sea up there is the Atlantic still, but if you just go all the way up north and look between Canada and Europe, in the middle is Iceland and Greenland. And Shantaye now went to Greenland with this man that she met on the internet. After 2 months, she was on a plane or less. And then you reach up there.
Yeah, I was on a plane there to Iceland, and then I came back to Jamaica.
So you went to visit?
Yes, just to see his background, meet his family.
So you
all
went
of
as a
that.
fiance?
Yes.
So it wasn't you just married, pack up and finish?
No, so actually when I came back, I moved out, I sold my car, everything, and then moved there permanently. Shortly, as soon as the plane landed, the following day we got married. And then life started in Iceland.
Hold on. You go there as a fiance,
Yes.
come back to Jamaica, settled your affairs,
Yes.
and then went back to Iceland.
Yes.
When you land in Iceland,
Next day.
girl have ring the next day.
Yes.
Continue.
Yes, and then, like, I mean, it sounds like a happily ever after, like when you hear all of that, right? But no, because eventually when I wanted to start working and making friends and so on, like, my now ex-husband started to isolate me. And he didn't want me to have friends regardless of gender, not even like women. And he didn't want me to have a job either. He didn't want me to pursue any of the things that I was doing, like the writing, and I was working for a marketing company / magazine. I was doing public speaking. I was modeling, acting. I was getting into everything. And he
In
was
Iceland?
just, yes.
But he wasn't having it.
No, he was like just trying to isolate me from
Why
everybody.
do you think he did that?
Because, and this is very important, I feel like he wanted to isolate me because he wanted the control. Yeah, and had I paid attention to the red flags in the beginning, which are usually the reason why the relationship ends, because you don't pay attention to the red flags in the beginning, I would have like ended it before it got to that point. So it got to this very kind of, I want to say like this very obsessive part where like I could just not do it anymore. Like I was just stressed and losing weight and all of that good
But
stuff.
by then you were a permanent resident in Iceland, were you
Nay.
not?
So we were,
you were
only,
not?
we were only married for 6 months before I filed for a divorce. And the divorce actually lasted longer than the marriage itself because it took a year for it to come through.
So you filed for divorce without having permanent status in an ice island far away from family?
Yes, and I was advised against it. But like, you know, me as a Jamaican is like, nobody can tell me like if I'm not happy, I'm just not happy. And I did young and I was like, this is not where it is for me. This is not it.
All right, this is a story that we don't have the time for, so we have to get to the crux of the matter so people can know if you're okay. So
Yes.
first thing, so the divorce was finalized. You are still living in Iceland.
Yes, it was super finalized by actually a Jamaican who lives in Iceland.
There are others of us up there.
Yes,
Oh my
the
God.
best lawyer.
And so you're settled now.
Yes.
And you're still a resident in
Yes,
Iceland.
and I've used all of my experiences to help women who are in similar or worse situations in Iceland, because it was a promise that I made to God that if He got me out of this and kept me there,
You would help
then
other women.
And I kept good to my promise.
Thank you so much for that. And persons can always just reach out to your social media pages if they need help.
Yes.
And if they want to find out about your resources as well as your art.
Yes.
Thank you so much for talking with us this morning. Thank you for sticking to your guns and for standing up for yourself.
Yeah, of course.
To the extent that you are now a voice of advocacy for others.
Thank you.
It was very good to meet you, Shantaye.
It's nice to meet you too.